the man representing from Utah.
Utah.
Aren't
It's
you?
a beautiful state, man. You got to
Yeah,
come out and see
right.
me.
A lot better than Michigan.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that. You guys have some beautiful lakes out there.
We do have that. I will give you that. But
Yes.
yeah, no, it's good, especially in the content and the stuff we do. It's kind of cool to have, so much in our backyard, which is nice.
Yeah, and you're like hop, skip, and a jump from Detroit too, which is, I mean, you can't beat that.
Depends. No, it's actually pretty fun. Detroit's gotten a lot nicer, especially like if you get into like the Corktown area. They've
Uh-huh.
redone where I don't know if you heard about like the Ford gosh, it's like they've redid the park. I don't know if you've heard about that or not. Like
Uh-uh.
there's this huge like train station they redid and it's incredible. I think they put like $100 million into this building and revamped it and it's their new electrification building. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Well, we got one person in. Let's see if we got any chat going here yet.
Oh yeah, let me see if I can pull that up too.
Yeah, let me see.
Sometimes it's delayed, like when people come in too. Sometimes there's more people here in this live chat.
Let me see live. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Yep. Okay, I see the chat. I've got it up now on my computer. So
Perfect. Are you on your laptop?
I got laptop in front of me. I got the phone doing the video. So at least
Okay.
I could have both going.
Nice. You got
Yeah.
3 now. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button too, by the way.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you coming and doing this with me. I know we had a lot of fun last time, and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
hoping we can get a lot of people kind of watching and getting seeing what people think about everything going on in the market.
Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna be a good video. I mean, you have a lot of insight because of where you are too, which is nice. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have because market's a little, man, it's definitely it's shifting. It's not like
Yeah.
it was 2020, 21 when you couldn't find a truck or anything out there to buy. It's definitely it's a different market
100%.
today.
Hey, I was just
Yeah.
checking. What does your hat say?
It just says JC Automotion.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, I built a dually and these guys actually gave me a bunch of hats. So I'm just using them up at this point.
Hey, that's cool. Hey, you got to
Yeah.
represent companies like that. That's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was a good company. They hooked me up on that build. It was nice. So
That's cool.
what'd
Real
your hat
cool.
say?
Oh, it's actually a fly fishing brand.
Uh-huh.
I thought it looked kind of old school. I went fly fishing. It was kind of a sucker for it. I don't even have any of their equipment. I just thought the hat looked kind of cool.
Nice.
Well, hey, we got a few people in. Should we get started?
Let's go ahead and get started.
All right. So, elephant in the room. What's going on with Stellantis? I'm curious your thoughts of what's going on with Stellantis now taking over and Ram and just man, just seems like some craziness right now. And I'm curious your perspective.
You wanted to start here, didn't you?
Got to hit them where it hurts. Hey, I got
Oh,
a
man.
Ram too, so I can't say
Oh,
anything.
that's true.
And I
That's
got
true.
another one on order.
Yeah, see, I don't own any Chrysler products right now. Ever since 2015, I've always had a Chrysler product, and this is actually the first year I didn't have one. I had a wagon near beginning, but yeah, Stellantis. I think a lot of people are gonna mention Tavares, right? I think that's the first name that people are gonna mention because they think that he's running the company into the ground. I mean, it's all about profits, all about cutting costs. And because it's not a American company anymore, it's kind of showing that they're kind of exploiting it to earn profits, in my opinion. And you can see that with the trucks. I mean, when Ram introduced the fourth gen Ram was 2009, and here we are in 2024. We just got some pictures of a 2025, and it's the same truck.
I know.
It's just essentially just a different grill and headlights. So what is going on with this brand? I mean, they have one of the best products on the market. They
Yeah.
have the Cummins engine. That's why people buy Ram, and now they're just kind of using that to hang their hat on in this market where the Power Stroke is a lot better, the Duramax is a lot better. And what are they going to do now? Like, are they going to continue to try to push a new nice interior? Because we know the tungsten's coming for the HD. I'm sure it's going to come.
Yep.
But is that going to be enough? But I think that Tavares is really worrying about profits right now and make sure he gets paid. Because I think he made some $21 million, something like that, something
Yeah.
crazy. So
It's wild to think about what I look at Chrysler, I go back to 2003. That's a big year in my mind. And that's when they came out with like the 300C and the Hemi came to market. And it was like, wow, they were really doing some big stuff back then.
Yes.
And you look, they really rode that coattail for a long time. And then to me, the next big year was in 2019 when the Ram 1500 came out. Man, it was like they put everybody on their heels. Ford
Oh
was
yeah.
on their heels, General Motors was on their heels. Everyone's kind of like, this is amazing what Ram's bringing to market. And where I always feel like Ram was awesome wasn't necessarily like the sexiest product, but a ton of value. And in 2019, they knocked it out of the park. Everybody's like, Ram's crushing it. And
Yeah.
then now I look, and in the last 12 months, gosh, their prices are the most expensive in the marketplace. And they have the most dated transmission. They have the most dated cab design on their HD truck. And I still think, like you, I think the Cummins it's my favorite. It's not the
Oh yeah.
fastest,
Nope.
but man, is it awesome. Like for just use, you just can't get past how amazing the engine is and the engine braking and
Yes.
everything.
Oh yeah. And to your point, I mean, I think the power in the Cummins. I mean, once you're hooked up to a trailer, I've said this many times. When you buy a Ram truck, you're buying it because you're gonna be pulling. And a lot of guys, hotshot guys, that's why they buy the Cummins because the Eisen transmission is tried and true. The AS69RC is just, it's a beast. It's a Japanese made transmission. It's a medium duty transmission. So when you're hooked up to a trailer, you get all the power. There's no torque management. So that's what's
Yep.
so nice about that platform. Now you have some comments that came through here.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Bill Jameson. So a long ramp owner, and but I'm done. 6'4" Hemi has an increased power, 68 RFE for a decade, anemic 6'7" Cummins' dog. I can't disagree.
Yeah.
6'4", I don't think the 6'4" is a terrible engine. I just don't
No.
think it's like I look at the Godzilla and I look at the what is it, the LT7 or whatever the LT motor is that's in the GMHD. They're a little
Hmm.
more powerful, a little better torque, a little better fuel economy. Um, the Cummins, man, it's a dog with the current trends, but with a good trends,
Hmm.
knock it out of the park. And
Yeah.
people watch my channel. I know you call me Ford fanboy, but man, if you jump in a new Power Stroke or a new Duramax, and then you get into Cummins, and if you don't compare the engine braking, geez, they will walk away from a Cummins
Oh
in
yeah.
almost every single avenue.
Yeah, well, what's funny is the 68 is actually faster than the Eisen. I've actually proved that a couple times because the torque management is real on that trend. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, call me Troy. He's a fanboy. He's a Ford fanboy. Ford is dominating the market. Okay,
It's true. I
I
do
can see
think that,
that.
like, I do feel like in the HD right now, man, the HO, even the standard output's a beast.
Hmm.
The Godzilla's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of great things to like about the Ford. I mean,
Hmm.
my thing, I'm just not a fan of their dash layout. I'm still not a huge fan of that,
Yeah.
but it's a nice truck.
Oh yeah, I think personally GM is kind of the dominating force because they were the only truck that wasn't down. I believe it was
Yep.
last quarter for sales. They were actually up, and Ford was not
Yep.
down by much, but Ram was obviously like it was like it was pretty bad. I think it was like 18% or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
was bad.
so, talking about Stellantis, I want to segue into the EPA and the mandates and some of the issues we see coming right now. There's all these recalls coming left and right across the board,
Yeah.
across manufacturers. I'm curious your thoughts on what's going on with these mandates and just where do you see it kind of going?
Well, we've learned a lot these last, I would say, 15 years. I think it all started with Dieselgate. And what we've learned is the government has no business in the automotive world. I think that some people have noticed that the tolerances in the engines have gotten a lot tighter. I mean, we went from 15W40 oil in a diesel engine down to 5W40, but the engines are putting out way more horsepower, way more torque than they ever have. So I think that we're trying to fix something, but we're doing it the wrong way. I think that the amount of people who buy these trucks today, they're 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 the ones kind of rolling this country along because they're delivering goods and services to people, right?
Yep.
and there's a lot of failures happening at the same time because of these tighter tolerances. And you can't delete your truck because it's illegal, or at least, before the deference, the Chevron deference, it was illegal. So, where do you go? I think that they're trying to make the trucks more efficient, obviously, right? But they're trying to make them better for the environment, but it's at the cost of reliability, and the manufacturer not addressing that.
It's funny you say this as you're talking. I'm thinking, what is the most important thing for an HD truck owner? Number one most important thing, reliability.
Yep.
It's someone trying to get a product across the country, a
Hmm.
trailer across the country, an ambulance to a home, a fire truck. Like these are all the powertrains in an HD class vehicle. The most important thing is truly like reliability, and some of these things have screwed reliability.
Yep.
But
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look with the Cummins right now; they're having cam issues or lifter issues. Really, that's what's failing on these engines. And yeah, have they addressed it yet? No. Why not?
yeah, and it's wild because man, I thought for a minute like we had a little sigh of relief, like oh maybe one of these brands have it. Holy cow! In the last month, nobody is
Hmm.
safe from these recalls. I mean, every brand, Toyota's struggling right
Yeah.
now. I mean,
Oh my
everybody's getting hit with
gosh.
this stuff. Everybody is smoked by these.
Well, you
Hey,
told me about the Tacoma.
it's unreal. The
Yeah.
Tacoma now too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we knew about the Tundra, the engine issues. They're going to be doing a recall, and then I just saw where the Tacoma Toyota's actually replacing the transmissions on some of those trucks right now. And
Yep.
I mean, Toyota's always been known just to have a very solid powertrain, drivetrain. There's nothing perfect, but it's rare that you hear about that. But they have just been in the news lately about just failures.
Yep, 100%. Got a few more notes here. Evan Havarti, Ram trucks have been the best infotainment for a while. Everyone loved the large screens. Now GM has refreshed their infotainment starting in 2022 model year and seems to be. Yeah, I would agree. I think their new displays across the board are really awesome. Like your truck interior is incredible,
Oh yeah.
and not even just like the center. Like your
Hmm.
gauge cluster, I think is best in class right now.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wish they would give us more information. I cry a lot about that on my channel. I'm like, oh, why don't they give me a gauge? So you have it in your RAM, that gauge summary, and
Yeah,
Ford
gauge
introduced
summary is
that.
huge.
Yeah, and on the Ford, they introduced that. You had a high output power stroke. They introduced that for 2023. Game changer. You
Yep.
know? Yeah, when you're whether you're unloaded, towing, going off road, it's just nice to see what the temperatures are. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
I, I've never understood why everyone's so afraid to give people that information. I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
like Ford for a while did this thing where they would call it cylinder head temperature instead of
I
coolant
remember that.
temperature. Like, who knows even what the reference of those units? I don't know what that means. I'm looking for coolant temperature. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, the most important temperature we don't see, which is EGTs, right? I
exactly.
mean, I've been doing a little bit of research on that. I was like, I've never thought about that. I've been thinking about getting the Banks readout that they have for our trucks, just so I can
Yep.
start monitoring that when I tow my trailer.
Yep. I
Yeah.
agree. Well, hey, here's a segue. Let's talk about
Uh-huh.
the industry 25 model year changes in pricing. I'm curious your thoughts because I really thought for 25 model year, I'll start with Ford in my opinion. I really thought Ford was going to really bring the hammer for 25 model year for pricing, for options. And I'm
Hmm.
sitting here scratching my head. They took the F-150, one of the best features they've had for 20 plus years, the little secure pad on the door. It's been a standard feature and they got rid of it. And if you want it now, you got to pay $500 for this thing. It's
Are you kidding
unbelievable.
me?
No. And so I don't know if they're trying to push people to use Ford Pass, but there's been times where I'll give you an example. I'm going hunting and I'm in Wyoming or Montana, something like this. And we want to lock our keys in a vehicle. We don't want them on our backpack or whatever. We don't have cell phone service where we're at. So I
Right.
doubt the app is going to work and I'm going to be able to pull up Ford Pass, lock your keys in, come back, boom, you get in. Can't do that unless you pay for that option now. That's one
Are
that
you
kills me.
are you kidding me?
Nope. And the other one with Ford that kind of kills me that I'm seeing is for some of the Lariat trim packages, they've gotten rid of leather on the F-150. They call it the Active X or the vegan option. And I'll tell you, if you didn't know the difference, you wouldn't be able to tell. It looks like leather, it feels like leather. It's possibly even more durable than leather.
Mhm.
But why do they do that? Why would
So
they do
there's
that?
no more leather seating standard on Lariat for 2025.
My understanding, I think it's the base package. I'm diving into this more. I'll be doing a video on this more. But what I'm seeing is it's not like the full leather seat like it was, or leather trimmed. And they did this a few years ago on the Expedition too. And the XLT used to be able to get leather, and they moved to Active X. But
Mhm.
I'm okay with this if like the price went down. Prices
Dude,
didn't
that
go down.
is yeah, that's just well, I mean, wow. I
I
hope they
know.
don't do it for the Super Duties because I know a lot of guys are gonna complain. And what they're doing, I mean, what do you think they're doing? Why do you think they're doing that? What's your thought on that?
I mean, I think the elephant in the room, it's what we all know. Inflation's out of control in this
Yeah.
country, and companies at the end of the day, they're for profit, and I totally get it. But the only way they can keep these things where they're at is to reduce cost. It's the only logical answer.
Yeah.
And this is why, if you look at a lot of these companies' profit, they're much lower right now than they were a few years ago. They were killing it a few years ago, but now the profit's dropping, but the prices haven't dropped. In fact, they're kind of coming down a little, but yeah, I think it all comes down to inflation. Cost of goods is still crazy high in this country, and it's impacting what we're paying for pickup trucks.
Yeah. Well, when you look at a Ford F-150 STX, which is a really popular trim from them, that truck starts about $60,000. You get four-wheel drive, you get the 2.7, or even if you get this, if you get the 3.5, I mean, it's probably over 60 grand for
Yep.
a truck with cloth seats. Now, obviously, it has the nice wheels, painted bumpers, parking sensors out back. It has, I believe, it has a 12-inch display too. So they do come pretty decked out. And I think it has a gauge cluster that's digital as well. So they do come pretty decked out. But for 60 grand for a basically a step up from a work truck, it
Yeah,
almost it in my here's my theory. I'm thinking that they're like, well, if you're gonna pay 60, why not just pay another 7 grand and get a Lariat? If you're looking at a
absolutely.
Lariat, well, instead of getting a Lariat, why not just pay another 8 grand and just get the Platinum or the King Ranch? So
Yep,
it's like they're I think what they're doing is they're not really offering much anymore to really go to the higher trim level. So the pricing is so much closer that you almost have to look a step up if you're
I
gonna
agree.
if
I
if you want leather, obviously, then well, yeah, you go to Larry, but and you're probably stuck there. But for some guys that are already at that price point at 65, 66 on a or really 70 on a Lariat, I mean, you're almost another 5 or 6 grand away from a King Ranch
yep.
at that point. So yeah, it's
So
crazy.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard in 2017, I have a lot of friends that work at Ford, and we were having a conversation one day, and they were looking at the new Super Duty, the Illuma Duty, when it came out in
Yeah.
2017. When it came out, about a year into that truck platform, something like it was insane, like something like 74% of the sales of the Super Duty were Lariat and above.
Jeez.
So then what did Ford do the next year? They came out with what they went platinum was the highest, they went another one and went limited. So Ford's whole theory was we got to make more expensive trucks for these people. I don't know if that's still the case, but I look at like you said, if you got to spend 60 grand on an STX, or you could have a Lariat for 67, seems like a no-brainer to me.
Right. Get
When
leather
when you're already at
seats.
that much money.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, but yeah, I think that what they're doing is their bread and butter is obviously high trim levels because it doesn't cost them as much as it costs us to buy it. I mean, leather seating and I mean, do the cushions change? No, they're just putting this leather above the same cushions that they had on the cloth seats. I mean, it's really not much different. They're just adding nicer trim, maybe a soft touch dash.
Yep.
So they're not spending a lot of money in theory to make you jump up to a higher trim level, which means you're going to pay another 7 or 8 grand for the truck, which probably only costs them maybe a couple, maybe a $800-900 to add that extra fluff on the newer or higher trim levels. I mean, it's yeah,
It's insane. And it's funny
yeah.
because when I've looked into this 2025 model year stuff, it looks like to me the consistent trend is prices are still going up. and content still seems to be getting reduced. I've seen a few weird anomalies, like for instance, F-150 Raptor, and I did a video on this. If anyone wants to watch, if you go on base 35 package Raptor, 37 package Raptor, and high level Raptor R pricing only went up 1% in one model year. That's really not bad.
That's not bad.
But Raptor 37 package went up like 8%.
Wow.
But then Raptor base model stayed flat. And then I'm like, man, that is like, they're like all over the map. Like, what are they doing there? I'm
Mhm.
convinced it's probably because they're worried about the RHO coming out by Ram. And look
Mhm.
at the pricing of the RHO, and Ford's probably trying to protect some market share. And they know they got to react to the lower trim level Raptor to, for that same price point. But I really was hoping to see more price reductions in 25 model year. I'm just not seeing it anywhere across the board.
Yeah, well, I've seen the sanding on GMC. I did a video on a 2025 GMC Sierra 1500, and the price went up by $1,700. But the theory is what they did was they added Super Cruise standard. So if you
That's
added it
cool.
as an option, it was $2,200, but the price only went up by $1,700. But they took away some of the features on the 2025 or from the 2024 to go to 2025. So not as nice features. I mean, it's little things like I'm very nitpicky. They had like leather in the door pocket area. They took it away. And for a $90,000 truck, I mean, I would think, well, you should keep that because you're making me pay 90 grand for this truck that is almost too expensive for a half ton. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's crazy. Now you are a Ford Raptor guy, right? You've had Ford Raptors in the past. That's kind of how you started your channel.
Yep.
What
Yep.
do you think? What is your honest opinion of RHO versus Raptor?
So I'll first start with say I'll always love Ford Raptors. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
cartoon vehicle. It's so cool. It's a real life cartoon for little kids growing up of thinking about jumping trucks. How cool is that?
Mhm.
I'll always love what it was, and I hope it keeps going on the right trend. But and I've said this on other videos, I think Ford is at a pivotal point with Raptor that if they don't do something big, that I don't know how the brand keeps the same perceived image as why people buy it. It's off-road king. It's great reliability. It's really
Mhm.
robust. For 25 model year, I really believe, unless this RHO is a total piece of crap and has got all kinds of problems, I really think it's going to dominate the Raptor. I mean, the truck's got 100 horsepower more. It's got massaging
Wow.
seats. It's got self-driving, and we both know the Ram interior is awesome.
Mhm.
So you've got that, and the truck MSRP's at approximately like 8,000 less than the Raptor, and
Oh
dealers
wow.
are discounting them for 8 to 10 grand less than that. So you could have effectively have a TRX with a high output engine with 540 horse for 18 to $20,000 less than an F-150 and get massaging seats and hands-free driving.
Yeah.
As a Raptor enthusiast that's owned 8, 10 of them, I can't deny the value of that. And would I be back in
Yeah.
a Raptor in a heartbeat? 100%. But I do feel I love Ford. If anybody's watching, they got to figure some stuff out. They got to get through some issues, and I really think Ford needs to do what the customers want. Make a base level Raptor with the Coyote. That's the home
Oh
run.
man. Oh man, you know that would be a game changer because they got into the game with the Ford Lightning. They have more credits,
Yes,
obviously, with that truck. They probably could do that and still float it. And, I mean, they still have the 550 for the Lariat.
you can get it in a
Um,
trimmer.
yeah, yeah, you get it exactly. You get a new trimmer. So I mean, that's a good point. That would be a game changer for some guys. I mean, do you think guys really want the V8s anymore,
Yeah,
though?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it depends on the person. I think our age, we're kind of like, okay, I could go either way. I like the power of the EcoBoost in a lot of
Hmm.
ways more than the Coyote, but the Coyote in this fourth generation engine makes so much better power than the Coyotes of the past. It's kind of bridged that gap. But for the people that really want to make big power, man, the Coyote is like,
That's
I mean, it's an
true.
animal. I mean, you can make 1,000 horsepower with one of them. So for that crowd, and then plus you got to say it's a Raptor owner. They want a
That's true.
V8. They want a V8. Give it to them.
And you're right. I mean, to your point, you get the sound. I mean, I will admit the Ford Raptors with the EcoBoost or the high output EcoBoost, they sound good. I
Yeah,
will admit, I actually had a chance to rev one, and I was listening to. It, I was like, man, this sounds decent for a V6 engine. But having the Coyote, I mean, if you imagine putting some headers and exhaust and something like that, I mean, it would be next level
awesome.
truck like that,
Exactly.
and probably better for off road because obviously with turbocharged engines, you're gonna have more heat build up if you're going off road for long periods at slope speed. So,
Absolutely. I don't know
uh,
if you watched this. I made a video about the Raptor, and like it's my dream for Ford to do this,
mhm.
but I called it the Raptor Scat Pack. When Chrysler came out with the Scat Pack 392, it was like, I'm not going to call the everyday or the poor man's Hellcat, but it was like people wanted a Charger Challenger, but they couldn't afford a Hellcat, but they wanted the sound of the Hellcat, and still the 392 still fast.
Yes, it is.
So now imagine take that same philosophy. You got Raptor R, you got the King up top. Give people what they want and give them that base V8 Raptor. I think it'd be the right move, but
Yeah, especially all wheel drive too. Oh man, that would be
be
nice.
sick. It'd be sick.
Yeah. Well, look at the
So
Raptor. Well, real quick, look at the Raptor R. I mean, people are willing to pay $150,000 to have that V8. So you're right. I mean, granted, it's supercharged, but to your point, I guess it makes a lot of sense. Some guys still want that rawness of that natural aspirated V8.
yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be interesting to see their answer. We already seen Ford release their Ford Performance Tune for multiple engines. I'm going to be making a video talking about that also. You can
Okay.
tell they're trying to up the game and give these warranty approved tunes, which is really cool. I love that. Especially what they did for the Bronco. It's like 40 horse and an extra 120 foot-pounds of torque.
Wow. Okay.
Dude, it's literally like the same torque as the 3.5 high output, and it's only like 15 horse less out of a 3 liter. So,
Wow.
um, so wanted to talk about quality and recalls. What are you
Oh
seeing? What are your
man.
thoughts on that?
I think I talked off camera. We've talked about this. So I have a GMC, and and golly, dude, I've seen more trucks come to dealerships. I do my parking lot reviews, as people call them sometimes, and I've noticed more trucks coming into the dealership with just squeaky dashes, trimming missing on some trucks. I don't even point this stuff out because I'm like, it is what it is. But really, on my truck, I've towed with it maybe about half the miles that I have on it right now, and my dash squeaks really bad. And I've been thinking about this, taking it all apart myself and just adding something, just like a layer of like felt or something like that to stick
Yep,
on the back just so it doesn't squeak as much. But I'm like, I spent almost 90 grand on this truck. I shouldn't have to do anything to it, you
I
know?
agree. What
Yeah.
what year's your truck?
It's a 2024
2024 GMC. Is that a Denali or AT4? Oh no,
AT4X.
AT4X.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really expensive truck.
Yeah, it was like I think MSRP was like over 95 grand, but they gave me a nice little discount for my contribution for my videos.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
looking at a few comments here. So we got Call Me Troy, looking forward to getting an underpriced Ford Territory. Must be from out of the US. I'm not familiar with that specific model. And then we see GM is also killing it in the half ton segment with the 3 liter Duramax. 100% agree. That 3 liter diesel, I've towed a bunch with it, the LM2 and the LZO. They're awesome. The only
Mm.
downside is they drink a ton of DEF, way more than
Really?
any diesel I've
What
ever been in.
what do you think what do you think the MPG for the DEF is?
Okay, so we pulled a 29-foot enclosed trailer, about 1,000 miles. Three
Okay.
guys. I'm gonna say it's like 6,000 pounds. Not heavy, but pushes some air. 7.5 foot
Oh
wide,
yeah.
7 foot tall, 29 foot long, 7,000 pounds. We went through 8 gallons of DEF in 1,000 miles.
Wow.
We had to fill up twice on the trip.
That's crazy.
I know. And I've made
Yeah.
that same trip with my Cummins, with my Power Strokes, and I would use 3 gallons, maybe four, maybe 3 to 4. So it's double the DEF consumption.
Wow. Yeah, you said it was wintertime too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That truck has probably a 5-gallon tank, maybe. I'm not sure for the DEF. So I'm not too shocked by that, but yeah, that's pretty bad.
How's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
DEF consumption in your truck?
out of all my GM pickups, this is my fourth one. Well, actually, my third with the diesel. I can probably get about 3 to 4 thousand miles before I have to go look for DEF.
And that includes towing?
Not towing.
No
Towing
towing.
is probably so when we went out to Indiana last year, that trip was about 3,000 miles. I want to say I went and came back halfway and didn't need it. So I
Wow.
probably went, yeah. It seems like on this one is better. On my dually that I had, granted it was lugging 37s, that truck was the worst. I want to say I was going like maybe 1,500 miles before I needed DEF. And I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
Um, and those have 7-gallon tanks. My Ram with the 5 7-gallon tank, that truck got about towing, maybe 800 miles. But unloaded, I could probably get maybe 2,000. But it was a smaller tank though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're the second person that's told me their dually, the consumption of DEF was insane. A friend of mine
Yes.
who owns a company that does a lot of off-road vehicles out in Vegas, he's got a new F450 high output. He pulls like man, I want to say it's about a 17, 18,000 pound toy hauler.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty heavy, loaded up. And he said he went 1,200 miles and burned like, I think he said 6 or 8 gallons of DEF. I
Jeez.
know. And he also told me he was getting like 5 or 6 miles per gallon. So I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that
What
was
year
rough too. 2024, brand new one.
are you, dude? Like, so now when you had your truck, your high output, what were you getting?
Dude, I mean, granted, my trailer was a lot smaller. I was probably 13,000 pounds loaded up and not a dually. But man, I did a video on this too. I think we did about a 2,000 mile trip, and I think I went through like 5 gallons of DEF or something. I thought it was totally reasonable. But
It's not that bad.
my trailer is 6,000 pounds lighter, probably 7 foot shorter, maybe a foot not as tall. His truck's bigger, dually. I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, my fuel efficiency and DEF consumption of my high output was phenomenal. I thought that motor was no regrets on power, DEF, fuel economy. It was easily 10 to 20% better than my Cummins.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed I had a chance to rent a high output back last year, and that truck was actually going through a regen, and it got better than what my Duramax gets. So the new high outputs, I mean, maybe the F450 or in the F350 dually is getting hurt somehow by the extra drag, but man, that F4 the new high output Power Stroke is very efficient compared to my Duramax and even of course the Cummins engines.
Yep.
And less than maybe in 2024, maybe Ford had to change some of the computer, like, what do you call it, the ECM tuning maybe, because
Yeah.
when I first started driving the 2024 Duramaxes, they were actually neck and neck with Ford. And somewhere along the lines, they must have did some remapping on the ECM dude. And I started noticing when I did my MPG runs, the Duramaxes could barely get over 18 MPG.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, that's a big difference from what I was getting in the past. And I know that they've done a remap on my truck for like a bulletin or something like that. I should have asked what it was, but I've noticed that these 2024 Duramaxes with the L5P Gen 2s don't do as good as I originally noticed them doing. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Eric did say
Or
that the
30 gears.
F450, yeah, I forget about that too, actually. That's a big deal. So you're
Yep.
running at a little bit higher RPM. You're
Yep.
probably about 150 RPM higher than the 355.
Man, if not higher than that, to be fair,
That's
because I mean
true.
that's
You're
four
right.
thirties is a massive difference. I want to
It
catch up to some
is.
comments. Boston
Go ahead.
Aviation, they're getting to taking the LM2 away and replacing the LZO. That is very true, which is a good thing. LZO, from what I've seen, is a pretty good upgrade from the LM2. Bill Jameson, totally agree. RV from AZ to California and back consumed 4 gallons of DEF over 900 miles. Yes, that's four. That's 450. That's 225 miles per gallon of DEF. Not terrible. I mean, it's still twice as good as what I got with that LM2 and LZO towing. Um,
Yeah. Now with Bill, is that a 3 liter?
Looks
Or is
like
that
it with my Trail Boss 3.0. Okay.
okay. Oh, okay, I see that. Okay, I see
Yeah.
right there. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that Trail Boss is a sweet truck. I love how those things look. That's like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, like of the Rebel versus Trail Boss versus Trimmer. I think the Trail Boss is the best of the three. I think it looks really well proportioned. It's just a sweet looking truck.
Oh yeah. Now, really quickly, I want to ask you. Let me ask Bill a question. If you can type in there, Bill, what year is your Trail Boss and what tires do you have? I'm interested to see what you have on your truck because I know some of them came with the Duratrax, and I think they've been switching over to the Territory MTs. I'd be interested to see the fuel economy you're getting with those tires too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point. And I'd be also curious what kind of fuel economy you got with this RV and how big of an RV.
Yes.
It'd be interesting to know that. I just think that 3 liter is so awesome. What a great engine.
Mhm.
The last
Oh no.
man standing in the
Yeah.
half ton diesel truck segment.
And I commend GM for doing that because I feel like that was like their way of sticking it to the government and their EPA because everyone just decided after, especially after Dieselgate, oh, I'm just gonna discontinue it. Now, obviously, Ram, their engine kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie. The
100%.
Eco Diesel just. I saw a video. Do you know Dave's Auto? They're out here in Utah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Dude,
didn't
that's
know
a
that
great
actually.
channel.
Yeah, one of my buddies, Ben, it was telling me, they're out here. But like, dude, like they actually were doing a teardown on an eco diesel and the carbon buildup, I was shocked by it. I want to say the engine may have had not even 100,000 miles on it. It was shocking. But yeah, I just think that they just did a horrible job building that engine. They probably should just ask Cummins to do it for them, but it is what it is.
I actually owned a 14 Eco Diesel Grand Cherokee, and when it wasn't
Uh-huh.
in the shop, it was awesome. Fuel economy was great, power was great, tons and tons of problems, wire harness issues,
Oh, God.
glow plug issues, head issues, SCR sensor issues. It just ruined me on it, and that's when I was like, forget that thing. Oh, Bill answered a
Yeah.
7,500 pound Grand Design. Okay, that's a good size
Okay.
trailer. Yeah,
That is pretty big actually, yeah. Yeah,
20.
I will say. And one thing too about like this is just something to take note of for people who own diesels. If you're new to it, you have to drive a diesel like you stole it. You cannot drive a diesel like a Crown Vic from back in the day when grandma and grandpa had that car. You have to gun that thing every once in a while to get that that combustion hot and just cleaned out somehow because it's just direct injection. So I've just noticed that one thing I've been doing too is just really monitoring where I get my diesel from. At some point, I might even see if I can have someone tear down my head and take a look inside my engine. I would like to see how clean it is inside or how dirty it is because I'm still running EGR on my truck, unfortunately. And I would just be interested to see by just going to top tier diesel stations, does that make a difference on the heads of my diesel? But I do know most techs that I've talked to, they said one thing you can do to help with the carbon buildup is to really drive it like you stole it sometimes. They get on the highway and just punish it.
Yeah,
So
get some heat into it. And I know that's the same thing with the diesel particulate filter. If you're
true.
towing and pushing it, you'll get enough heat into it where it won't even go into an active region. It'll just be passive.
Yeah.
You had me thinking when you talked about that. Wouldn't it be
Hmm.
cool to do a video where you do a deep dive on maybe fuel additives and diesel and see if one diesel fuel is better than another? And another
Hmm.
thought I thought about, instead of tearing your engine apart, I just
Hmm.
got a bore scope I bought off
Oh,
Amazon to connect to my iPhone. And I had with my Project Raptor, there's some video coming on this soon. I had to find if a mouse nest was in the HVAC system.
uh,
And I was able to snake this thing through like 5, 6 feet, and it worked phenomenal. You might be
okay.
able to take that bore scope, run it through your intake on your truck, and sneak it down in, and you might be able to see your valves. It's just an idea, maybe. I don't know
Okay.
if it'd work, but it might be kind of neat to see.
No, I mean, yeah, to your point. Well, the reason I was going to say break down the whole engine because I want to see each cylinder too, and like
Sure.
where the spray is going. Because sometimes I saw it on again, not to keep giving shout outs to Dave Auto, but yeah, I remember seeing an engine that actually melted. I guess the EGTs got too hot, and the piston melted, and you can actually see the spray of the ejectors on the piston because it got so hot. And I was like, huh, I'd be interested to see how that would look on the inside,
Yeah.
honestly, just to see. is there any buildup or whatever? But no, no, that's a good option. That's a good option too, because obviously tearing down my truck would be stupid and expensive. So
Hey, you might jinx yourself. It might end up in Dave's auto shop, and they might have to do that. Dude,
yeah,
his channel's great. I mean, what that guy
yeah,
does for YouTube is
oh,
phenomenal.
dude. Dude, I love that guy. His channel, like the biggest thing I learned from his channel is change your stinking oil. Do not. He says if it's 15,000, because Ram's 15,000, half of that. If you go 10,000, half of that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, and it's true. Like the engines, they're the same engines from back in the day. So why
Yep.
can you go a lot longer on the oil? That's the question that you have to ask yourself.
I've wondered that. I originally thought my mind was okay. Well, maybe the engineers designed this thing where the motors are more durable and you can have lower scheduled intervals and it's less of an inconvenience to people. And then my skepticism side to me came to me and said, what if they actually want people to have less reliable engines? So they stretch out the interval, these motors and transes and intakes don't last as long, and you
Hmm.
start blowing up engines more often, and then you got to replace them. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. All I
yeah.
know
I
is
think. Oh, go ahead.
no. I was going to say the one thing that really caught me off guard is I think the Cummins is a 15,000 mile oil change interval. Isn't that right? Isn't that 15,000?
15,000 miles for Cummins.
Okay, this last oil change I did on mine, it was running Rotella before. And
Hmm.
at about 10 or 11,000 miles, I'm like, yeah, I've done some towing, nothing crazy. But I'm like, I'll change the oil. I changed the oil. I swear to you, I've never seen this with any vehicle I've ever owned in my life. As soon as they changed the oil, they did the Valvoline full synthetic. You could noticeably hear less valve train noise. Noticeable. And
Why?
I'm like, what is going on here that an oil in a Cummins at 11,000 miles? And then that made me realize, I'm like, dude, I would never go more than 10,000 miles on an oil change on a Cummins after that. I'm like,
Nope.
or was that Rotella oil not as good as the Valvoline? But it was noticeably quieter.
Yeah, well, the Rotella is like that is the best oil you can run in a diesel. I mean, were you doing 15W40 or were you doing the 5W40?
Uh, Good question. So the difference between 15 and 5 is in cold weather, the 5 is
Hmm.
lighter, so it flows. But once it warms up, they're both the same.
Yep.
Um, I can't remember to be totally fair. I want to say 5 because I'd rather have that thinner, quicker, oil going through
Yeah.
the engine.
Hmm.
But I don't remember to be fair.
Yeah, so that could be your other issue. Like if you were running 15W on because I did this one time. When I didn't know much about cars back in the day, I actually ran a 530 and a 520 car, and boy, did my car sound good after that 530. So yeah, and that's probably maybe the weight, because it was a 15 weight, 5 weight. Is that what that W stands for on the oil? I
I
think it's what it stands for.
Something like
Yeah,
that, I
weight.
think, or
Yeah,
winter
15
or
weight.
something. I don't totally know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh. No, that's cool.
yeah.
So what do you see for the industry? Like with what we've seen in dealerships out by you and dealerships by me, I want you to answer. The only thing I'll say first is, and I think we mentioned this last time, is living in Michigan, being in the automotive industry for over 20 years of my career, family, friends, it's a culture here in Michigan you're around. When the United
Hmm.
States has a sniffle, the state of Michigan has a cold or the flu. You can really feel how things are impacted in the state of Michigan by things tightening up a little in the rest of the country because automotive gets hit quickly. I'm
Yeah,
curious, like what you're seeing, like in thoughts in around the industry.
yeah. Well, one thing I've seen in dealers is the sticker shock is real now. I think a lot of times when you link back to 20 and 21, people were part of that was that thing called fear of missing out or something like that. And now that that has kind of, gone away, I think people are now starting to see, oh my gosh, like I have a really high car payment. I paid way too much for it. I've seen a lot of people at dealerships, getting cars appraised and they're like 15, 20 grand upside down on average. On average. Back in the day when
Wow.
I was selling cars, I mean, if you were 15 grand flip, I mean, we got a casket for you because you were buried. And today, I mean, I've heard someone say that somebody was $40,000 flipped on a Cadillac Escalade. And
Unreal.
I was, dude, I like, how in the world, what bank approved that loan, like, at that time? I mean, it's just, so right now the market is really tight in terms of tolerances from banks. Like, banks are probably going to be cutting back really tight. So are people going to be able to finance cars right now at 120% LTV? I mean, dealerships are discounting, which is nice, but they're discounting right now because they're not going to give you anything for your trade-in. So it's almost like you're buying a car from 2021, 2022 anyways.
Yeah.
And I think that right there, and with the manufacturers, they're starting to push rebates, but again, it's not enough right now. I think a lot of people are struggling with their interest rates. I mean, that's another issue. There is special financing, but it's not enough. I think with inflation still high, with automotives being what, 15% higher than it was just 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I think that the market is going to really go through a nice correction probably within the next year or two. I wouldn't shock me if next year we're seeing a different market, because I think right now it's not being talked about, but repossessions are high. People are 30, 60, 90 days past doing their car loans. I'm hearing about people having to do loan modifications on their homes, can't afford them anymore. So this stuff has to come to a head.
Yeah.
And are the manufacturers really going to lower the price of their cars? No. What they'll do is they'll figure, okay, well, there are some people who are not going to be able to afford to buy cars like they have been. Just 10 years ago, everyone every 5 to 7 years was getting new cars. And now I think you're going to start to have more of a new class of people rise up. And it's the middle class, it's going to be above the middle class. And the middle class is going to kind of become of the lower class, in my opinion, because cars are just too expensive. Like, when I look at, like, I'm going to pay my truck off next year. And I mean, really, my truck, I bought it at just under 90 grand. And that truck right now, if I were to get it appraised, is probably worth about 80. So think about that for a second. I mean, I probably lost $9,000. Just 2 years ago, I was trading trucks in for what I paid for them. In some cases, I was getting a little extra for them.
Yep.
So that ship has sailed. And so right now, if you're looking to just flip and trade out of cars, you can't do it anymore, because cars are now depreciating assets like they should have always been.
Yep.
And I'm thinking right now, with the way the market is, even though they're not talking about these repossessions, these past dues, the loan modification on houses, I think that at some point it's going to just hit, right? I think the rich people are a lot smarter than we think they are. They create the narrative that everything's fine until it's just not fine anymore. While they clean up and while they get their house in order, we're here left with the bag, basically, as I call it.
Yeah. I agree. I've seen.
Sorry, I said so much there. I'm so sorry. I might have went a little too deep there, but
No,
sorry.
no, it's great. I'm just trying to think of, I want to talk about a few points on that. Like, I've seen more inventory on Ford Super Duties than I've ever seen
Ever,
pre-COVID. Put it aside,
ever,
ever.
Mhm.
I mean,
Ever.
and I did a video on this and I thought it's actually done really well, actually. And people are seeing this. I'm seeing inventory sitting that's 8, 10, 12 months. And it's
Yeah.
still sitting there. And interest rates are still high. And then I think where people get frustrated, myself included, is so this new truck is $90,000. Interest rates are stupid high. You now throw a $2,000 rebate at it. Ooh. But yet you're hosing me on my trade-in for a truck that was bringing 50 last year. Now you're telling me it's 38. The only logical thing I can think is right now, and this might not be what people want to hear, but it's just my opinion. So take it for what it's worth. At the end of the day, Ford, General Motors, Chrysler, Toyota, any of these manufacturers, they're in the business to make money, profit. That's what they're for. And if their suppliers' costs and their raw material costs have went up 40% in the last 3 or 4 years, if they have, at the end of the day, if they have to discount their vehicles $20,000, $30,000, and Ram is a unique animal because they're doing that right now. We're seeing big discounts. I don't think you're going to see a Ford and a GM truck, heavy duty, $20,000, $30,000 off sticker. I just don't think. And if you do,
Not.
it will be such a short period of time because it'll basically be Ford is giving you a vehicle with $5 that they're losing on every vehicle. If you're Ford at that point and you're for profit, If you have to build a vehicle to lose money, you're going to go bankrupt. They can't do that. So my gut feel is there's going to be a short window where manufacturers are they're going to try to get inventory off dealer lots. You're going to see hopefully some people buy some vehicles at a discount.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ford is going to do what Ram is doing right now.
Yeah.
And they're shutting down production and they're slowing things down because they know right now it's cheaper for them to slow down production rates than to drop prices and lose money.
Well, and to your point, again, these people are a lot smarter than we think they are. They know how many cars they need to produce to make a profit. They don't have to produce a lot. They learned that during COVID. I'm shocked that they're jamming dealerships with inventory. I thought this day would never come again. I said we'll never see inventory again. They're
No,
not dumb enough to do it. Well, maybe
here
they are
came.
dumb enough to do it. But then again, like I told you, I do believe that there's going to be a new class of people that rise up to be able to buy these cars, and they'll know how to basically stack it, because you do see more lariat, those mid-level trim levels, but you see a lot of, you see a bunch of lariats, you see a bunch of Laramies, you see a bunch of SLT GMCs, you see a bunch of LTZ Chevy HD trucks, or even half tons. Like, you see those mid-level trim levels, and when you put a little bit of rebate on it, or if you put special financing, I see a lot of 84-month terms going around out here. I think I saw 5.9 for 84 months. Insane.
Wow.
Haven't seen that in
Yeah.
a long time.
Yep.
And so you're going to have people finance for very long terms, and they're going to be so underwater. They're going to be slave to that car payment for a while. So yeah, it's. I think the market's going to do a correction. I don't think prices are going to go down. I think that terms
No.
are going to continue to go up. You're going to start
Mhm.
being able to finance. I think right now you can finance for 10 years on a car. That's stupid. That is
Insane.
absolutely stupid. I mean, I don't care if it's your last car you buy. Like you just said earlier, the tolerances in these cars are so tight that reliability is an issue today. So eventually, that car that you spent 80 grand for and you finance for 7 years, 5 years from now, if it has a failure, it's only worth 20 grand or less,
Yep.
and you still owe 50 grand on it. So it's one of those things where the rich are going to continue to stay rich, and I think us as the poor people, we have to start thinking about our lives too. Like, man, do we really need these expensive cars? Maybe we do stop buying for a little bit. I've thought about selling everything I have for a little bit, just to see about what the
100%.
market does for next year or two. I'm still considering. I haven't talked to my wife about it, but I really want to consider selling everything and just sitting for a little bit and see what happens. I don't have
Ride
to
it
have
out.
anything nice.
Yep.
Let it out.
Well,
But yeah, go ahead.
you know, that's a awesome segue to talk about one of the reasons why I'm doing a video series next. And I know I've talked to you a little bit about this, but I'll spill the beans to some of the people watching. If you're in the Raptor community or looking for a project, um, myself, I'm thinking like you're seeing the price of these new vehicles and they're $80,000, $90,000. And you got a truck that's like, or you're on a budget, you want to spend 8, 10, 15, $20,000. Are you really getting, like, when I think of something 20 grand and I think of something 80 grand, my mind
Mhm.
goes, is it 4 times better because it's going to cost me 4 times more money? How does that math work out? I'm going to be doing a whole project on a truck, and I'm basically trying to find a budget vehicle, go through diagnostics, fixing it, repairing it, making it reliable, and then just kind of sitting back looking, does this make sense? Like, when you think about a new truck being 85 grand, you could do something like this if you're willing to look on YouTube and find a video how to fix something up. You could have something decent for under 15 grand. I don't know, just kind of my thoughts on that. And uh, on that same topic, who do you think wins at the end of the day when prices on these vehicles are so high in the United States? This is providing the most opportune time for a company like BYD to come to the United States and
Yeah.
slaughter market share. Listen, people can hate electric vehicle all they want. I get it. I don't own one. I don't diss on anybody that has it. I get it. You
Nope.
like it, that's cool. They're fast. I get it. You don't want to go to get oil changes, gas station, totally understand. But when you can go get a BYD seal for 10,000, okay, 20,000 bucks for a vehicle, or you have to go lease.
Oh, are you breaking up? Or is that me?
Losing you? Can you
Oh,
guys
there you go.
see?
Okay, there you go again. I can hear you now. Maybe it might have been me too. I don't know.
Okay. I'm not sure what you guys because they're so cheap. Oh, it says he's breaking up.
Yeah, you
Eric,
just broke
if
up.
you don't
Just
mind, who's breaking up? Like, if is it both of us?
I
I
think
don't know.
it's
Did you catch?
you,
It's me. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what
but
you
you're
guys
better
caught.
now.
Okay. I was just saying, I think the real winner is going to be this company BYD. And I've mentioned this on other videos. And I think you and I might have talked about this last time. It's an
Hmm.
electric vehicle car manufacturer that's just, man, they're crushing market share globally right now. And I think we're going to see these guys, even if the United States and Europe puts 100% tariff on these things, 10 grand is 20 grand in the United States. Man, a lot of people would probably love a $20,000 vehicle. That
Yeah,
sounds really good considering the price of an STX F-150 is $60,000.
right. Exactly. And to your point, I mean, why not? I mean, at this point, we have to look out for ourselves, right? So, I mean, when you think about depreciation, I mean, figure $100,000 on a car. If you lose 50% of that value in 3 years, is only worth 50. You lose $50,000 in 3 years. Buy a $50,000 car, right? If you yeah, $50,000 car, you lose half the value in 3 years. It's $25,000. So you lost $25,000. But if you do $20,000 car, the value's not so bad.
It's
So
not. It's not.
yeah,
There's a reason why Harbor Freight has done so well in the past 10 years. They got
yeah.
tools good enough that the majority of people can use, and they're not bad. I
Hmm.
really see the way things are progressing is you're going to see. Hey, thanks, Bill, for watching. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. I really think this is setting the stage for some of these low cost Chinese manufacturers to come and dominate in the United States market. I really think we're going to see a lot of people, like you said, they're stretched on a budget. They can't afford a $700 Explorer, Grand Cherokee, or a Acadia lease anymore.
Hmm.
They're like, dude, I need something for $300. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and who are anyone is standing in the way of that? I mean, if the car manufacturers here in this country have decided to price themselves out of the market, if someone comes in and swoops in and takes takes their market share, that's on them.
$100%.
You always have to do right by your people. I think that when you do right by people, people will always have your back. And I think that's why so many people too, when you look at some dealerships back in the day, like, oh my gosh, like I remember dealerships just marking up Denali's Yukons for like 50 grand. And people were buying those things, man. Like, I was like, where are the people getting this money from? And then I started reading that people are pulling out 401ks to buy cars. I mean, like, man, like, talk about knocking a man while he's down.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
when I think about BYD, you're right. I mean, hey, if they can come in and show the autos here how to do it, build cars that are priced right. If you're inflating your price because you saw the dealerships doing it and you decided you wanted to be a part of the money making scheme, then that was shame on you. You should have chastised the dealers and says no, don't do that. Like you're going to hurt the market. And
Yeah.
I think that's where we as Americans need to really stand together. I think that's where we only fail together is when we don't stand together. And I
Yeah.
think we can really fix the problem here at home by just like some people say in the comments, just say no to buying. But we have to do it collectively. We have to
Yeah.
do it in such a way where we fix this issue because cars are expensive. If you want to go buy a freaking van right now, Toyota Sienna costs 55 grand, dude. Like I was shocked to see that. Like, who's gonna spend almost 60 grand for a minivan? You know? Come
Right.
on, dude.
Yeah. Well, on that topic of Toyota, my whole issue still with Toyota is it's 2024. And if I
Mhm,
want to go get a Tacoma, a Prius, a RAV4, a Sienna, a Sequoia, or a Tundra, I
mhm.
can't order it.
You can't?
No, dealers have allocations from Toyota, and these vehicles just show up. And so if you try to get on a list of a local Toyota dealership, and they'll put your what you want in, but Toyota North America they basically allocate what comes to dealers. And so you'll get a vehicle come and it might not be the options you want, but you're getting it's your choice or next on the list. And I can't, in this day and age, I struggle with that arrogance. I don't think that's the right approach.
Yeah, well, Chrysler is the best in my opinion. I think Chevy's kind of similar to that in a sense. You can still give you a specific amount of allocations, and if one matches a specific buyer's needs, like if they wanted a high country truck, then you can actually take that one and then build it the way they want. I think that's how it worked for them because that's
Yeah.
how I built my Chevy truck. I actually ordered it. I built it a certain way, and then he got the allocation, and he spec'd it out how I wanted it, and I got it that way. But to your point with Toyota, unless you're, like, high up, I've known guys who've bought a bunch of Toyotas in the past, and they've been able to get exactly what they wanted, but, I mean, that was maybe 7, 8 years ago, though, when I
Yep.
remember hearing that, so
Yep.
do you have any closing remarks here? Like, I think you are definitely doing a great job. I have seen, your videos are starting to get some views. I mean, what can you leave us with, for your YouTube channel? Like, what can we expect in the future?
I'm trying to think about like me as a consumer. I'm buying vehicles just like everybody else and like
Mhm.
yourself, and I'm chasing value. What puts the most money in my family's pocket? That's the smartest move, but I also enjoy it. It's that
Mhm.
balance of
Yeah,
enjoying it.
sure, sure.
I think I think people really need to think about what makes sense, especially right now. There's a lot of volatility. Presidential election, the market is kind of
Yeah.
interesting, geopolitical tensions, the automotive industry, costs are still high. I think, like, if my suggestion I could make to people is just kind of hang tight, just wait it out. I think patience right now will be the best thing to put in,
Yeah.
the most bread in your family's pocket. Um, and that's where I'm kind of trying not a pivot, but just something different, just to show like fixing up a project truck and something that brings a lot of joy and fun. And there's still a lot of
Mhm.
value in some of these vehicles. Um, Also, I appreciate everything you're doing and all the help. This is a lot of fun. I like
Oh, yeah.
doing this with you, and I bring in your insights and all your successes with YouTube. And you brought your community going from the Rams to the GM trucks, and then I've had Ford and then Ram, and trying to bring these different perspectives. It just kind of
Yes.
helps. I think it helps the people watching these channels. Like, man, as much as I'm a Ford fanboy, I'm really not. I don't work for them.
Yeah.
I still, and I got a mosquito flying next to me. I really am trying to do what I think makes most sense, and that's why I'm not gonna probably be in a 25 Raptor right away. It'll
Yeah.
be a 25 Ram RHO. I want to try to give that a go and see what it's about. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. I mean, hey, like I said, we're all in this together. That's why I like doing videos like this because it's good to get other people's perspective. I mean, I've been watching your channel for a while now too. So I mean, like I said, you're doing a good job. So just keep
thanks, man.
pushing. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're and like I said, hey, we got to start somewhere. And YouTube has definitely changed a lot. I think I said this last time we did the live. It's not as easy as it used to be. I remember there was a time when you could kind of post whatever, and if it caught their algorithm, I mean, it would just get views. But these days, it's almost like sometimes I think I'm gonna get views on a video, like, oh, this is gonna be a good video, and then it just kind of does about the same as all my other videos. So YouTube has definitely changed, is all what I'm saying. So it's hard. It's a lot harder than it's ever been, but I find joy in doing it because I know that people find your content, my content is helpful for people making buying decisions. So it's nice to, to get other people's perspective and what they're doing, what's working, what's not working. So yeah, I
no, that's
appreciate that, man.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate the help too. And you had me thinking. I was gonna say, when you're talking about how YouTube has changed, one of the things that has driven me a little bit crazy in the last year and a half, and I know we've talked about this off camera, is there's a lot of channels that just present doom and gloom. It's apocalyptic. The industry's over. Everybody's screwed. And we're like, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
That's not really what's happening.
Yeah.
Man, the people gravitating, they just want to hear hey, the market's over. I'm going to get a truck 50% off, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Gosh,
And
that's what gets the algorithm going right now and YouTube.
yeah, and I won't do. I like to do clickbait videos, as people call it. I don't think I do clickbait, but I can't do the doom and gloom videos either. I might say, did truck? I might ask the question, did truck stop selling? But the reality is, I mean, I know people want to see the manufacturers fail and go out of business because of what they've done to the market, but truth is, I mean, people have the choice. If someone wants to go and get their head knocked off at a car dealership, that's their choice. I'm
Yeah,
not going to do that. You're not going to do that. I mean, when you bought your Raptor R, you didn't spend crazy money to get that truck. I mean, you bought it at a good market value, and when you sold it, I don't know if I can say this on camera, but you did well for yourself. So I mean, at the end of the day, some people have a lot of money and they're willing to go out and do crazy stuff, but
sure.
is it the manufacturer's fault or the dealership's fault? I'm probably alone here. I don't think so. If someone is dumb enough to do that, or if someone has enough money to do that, because that's really what it is, then it's not the dealership's fault that they,
Yeah,
did that. Because all I would do is say no. I mean, actually, I was supposed to buy a F450 back in 2022, and the guy said to me, "Oh, 20 grand over or 25 grand over," and he said, "Hey, I'll cut you a deal at 20 grand over." And I told that dude to go kick rocks. I said, "I'm not doing that." And you know what? The truth is, he sold that truck. He
yeah.
sold it. And did I feel bad or was I sad about it? Heck no, it wasn't meant to be. You know?
It's it's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild because you're like, dude, I know the market. I'm not paying 20 over. This is a
No.
joke. But yet there is still someone out there. Wow.
Yes.
It's like, what is going on here? What are you thinking here? I mean, I get if you're in California or something like that, but man, just search around, get a better deal.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, even I didn't say this on camera, but even when I bought my AT4X, I actually walked out on the deal because it wasn't a fair deal for me and them. I said, listen, I feel as though I should be getting a little bit less off this truck. I mean, it came down to my trade in on my gas L8T Silverado that I had, but I didn't like the deal. So I said, hey, no loss here. I mean, I'm not going to do this because it's not a good deal for really me and my family. So,
Yep.
I buy and sell trucks because at that time it was still a advantageous market. And because it didn't come to the number I wanted to get to, they thought that maybe they could make a little extra money on the deal. And that's cool. That's their job to do that, but I wasn't going to do that. And so I walked out and they called me back because, hey, we'll do the deal. And that's what happened. And I was happy that they did it because I don't care. I don't need to buy anything. If
Sure.
like I told you, there might be a day when I do sell everything and people might think, what's wrong with it? Is everything okay? Are you running out of money? Yep, sure am. I need to
Yeah.
save more money. I need to
Yeah.
save for the future. So
Yep.
yeah, I think that people just need to come to reality sometimes. I think, yeah, the dealerships are dirty. There are some scumbag dealerships out there, but most people have to take responsibility for their actions. And I think some guys and girls out there are mad because they got their head knocked off because they didn't do any research or that they were dealing with, fear of missing out, which was a big deal back in the day. And they went out and just made bad decisions. And now they're paying for them today. And now they want to see someone else get hurt for what they did to themselves. And I don't agree with that. So,
I
yeah.
agree. It's one of the reasons I don't personally like leasing vehicles unless I can lease for like 200-300 bucks a month, something
Yep.
crazy cheap. Because when you get in that leasing game, man, you
Oh,
are
yeah.
handcuffed. Because when
You
that
are.
lease is coming up, if you haven't done your research and you're in a great position where you got another deal lined up and you've been searching it for 6 months prior to when your lease
Mhm,
is up, dude, you're
mhm.
gonna get smoked,
Oh, yeah.
especially right now. And I don't like that with leasing for that reason.
Mhm,
And to add to that, one of the things I think would be really cool if you had interest in this, especially with what's going on with the market. I'm just wondering if we had a little bit of shift on YouTube of like focusing, like I see this comment from Eric Swinson.
mhm.
And appreciate your comment, Eric, about doing this live. I'm glad you enjoy it. We definitely
Yeah,
enjoy it too. Is the
absolutely.
6.8 liter duty, the 6.8 liter Super Duty towing. I would like to do that actually. I've been trying to get one. These motors
Me
are
too.
really hard to find. They're
Me
not
too.
easy. But
I actually looked at Enterprise. So Eric, to your point, a lot of people have been texting or not text emailing me. Excuse, no one has my number. People have been emailing me. Please, can you do a towing test up that 6% grade? And I was like, dude, trust me. If I could do it tomorrow, there's a lot of videos I would love to do right now. I would literally fly somewhere probably. Well, I don't want to say that because that's not true. I probably would if I could bring my family with me, but I would almost fly somewhere to do a towing test for that six
yeah,
eight. But they are so hard to find.
dude, I've only seen like one or two 6.8s in the wild that is not like a fleet truck. And I just did a video on one and I like freaked out about it. I'm like, dude, I've seen more Raptor R's than
Yeah.
I've seen 6.8s in a crew cab with a 10 speed
Yeah.
trans. I'd love to see a 6.8 versus 7.3 because that's what everybody wants to know. Is that
Yeah.
$1,700 worth it to get the 7.3 over the 6.8? I don't know the answer yet because I haven't driven it, but it's comments like Eric. He wants to know about the 6.8 because the 6.8 is such a high value engine. And I was thinking, like, in my mind, what if we had like a little bit of a focus, like a switch on really focusing on high value trucks, like across the brands? Doesn't
Hmm.
matter the brand, midsize, half ton, 3/4, 1 ton, whatever. Instead of
Hmm.
like platinums and limiteds, everybody trying to get the best bang for the buck. I wonder if you're going to start seeing a shift where people are like, all right, dude, in the past I was really wanting a high level trim level limited or lariat. Man, I'd be happy with a cloth interior XLT with a 6.8 or whatever, and I'd be super
Yeah.
stoked about that. I don't know. Oh, we got
Yeah.
Jason Samco. There's a good one. That's another great YouTube channel. Just got out of
Okay.
the woods. Can't wait to join in the stiffs. Two great channels. No, that's awesome. He's got some really good content. He's
Nice.
been talking. I know he's been really hammering on Toyota trucks, which has been fun to watch.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, hey, this might be a good stopping point here.
Sure.
Yeah, I like let's continue this conversation. I think that we should do some videos around like the market, and I mean, even like I'm going to be doing a video probably later this week on some rebates I've found on some of the HD trucks right now. Trucks that actually I'm actually shocked that has rebates because they just came
Hmm.
out with, and you probably can guess what it is. But yeah, I think that we should definitely talk about more financing on the next video. I think that some people would probably learn something from both of us because I bought and sold well over 20 cars in my life. So yeah.
Nice. I think that's a great idea, and it
Yeah.
helps people put more money in their pocket and their families, and that's creating a value for people. So that's awesome. Great idea.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Cool.
hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, JB and I have been talking about this. We'd like to do this more often, and if you do, take a look at his or my channel, and we'd love to do this again with you guys.
Yes, sir. Cool.
Cool. Thanks everybody for watching. See ya.
See you guys.